Hello and welcome to Simply Safe Podcast, Money Control's weekly personal finance show where we discuss all things money. The launch of the new income tax return filing portal has been a tale of unending woes. It has been riddled with glitches since its launch on June 7th, and there is no solution in sight yet. In fact, on August 21st, it was completely unavailable to taxpayers, prompting Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to summon Infosys CEO Salil Parekh to New Delhi. The company on its part said that the site went into emergency maintenance for 2 days. It was back to being functional before the meeting. The Finance Minister has now set a deadline of September 15 for Infosys to resolve all the glitches. Now, will that leave enough time for return filers to complete the process ahead of September 30th due date? What are the glitches that taxpayers need to be aware of? For answers to these questions, we have with us today Preeti Khurana of Clear.in, a tax consultancy portal. Hello Preeti, welcome to the show.
Thank you, my pleasure.
So we could start with the new income tax return filing portal itself. Why was a need felt for a new portal in the first place? What did the income tax department intend to bring to the table?
Income tax department and the government basically thought around improving services available to taxpayers. And what we have seen in the past is that, they have been approaching tax filing via pre-filling, accessing more data, having more details available in your Form 26AS. So to sort of bring all of this together, they wanted to improvise on existing functionalities, the existing tax filing framework, and basically give people a more, sort of automated approach to their tax return filing. And that was the whole approach with bringing this new income tax return filing portal.
But this portal has faced issues right from day one. That is, taxpayers have faced issues with the website right from day one. And even the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she immediately, I think after the launch, she had tweeted about the complaints that she's received. So could you elaborate on the kind of glitches that you have come across from June to now?
Right. As you very rightly pointed out, that the portal has been facing issues since the day of launch, in fact, and those issues continue to exist. And, what we noticed is that there are a lot of places where improvements are required. So right from June, there were pages on the portal which had slow responsiveness. The UI was not designed very well. And, there were several forms. So it's not just tax return forms that are required to be filed on the portal. Experts, chartered accountants go to the portal to fill up other kinds of forms, and these could be, related to Form 15 CACV when you're making a remittance or when you're filing Form 35. There are various other forms that you need to access the portal for, and in fact, these forms were not even available. And we know that the tax department has been allowing people to do paper-based forms all this while. Not only this, the portal needs to be optimized in the sense that when we talk about the tax return filing portal for crores of Indians, we need something which is, which utilizes less data bandwidth and it works faster, and, it should even be able to work on, say, low speed internet, and, there are connectivity issues that people have. So, at ClearTax, we've solved for all this at some point in time. So you need a mechanism where perhaps lakhs of taxpayers will come to the portal towards the deadline. Whenever the deadline approaches, there is a huge number that can be seen, where people come to tax filing systems. So therefore, it becomes very, very important to have a portal which is stable, which can function with low bandwidth, and which does not have, these kind of load time errors where people are able to access information. We've even heard, and what we've seen is that in some cases, the ITRV is not generated. The acknowledgement is not available. Past issues like if you've had a refund, you can no longer access that information. So taxpayers and experts are facing various types of issues right now.
So now, of course, the issue has assumed really serious proportions with the Finance Minister summoning Infosys CEO, and she set a deadline of September 15th to resolve all the glitches. What's the total unavailability of the website on August 21st, the final straw, according to you, that prompted the government to take this step?
Well, actually, frankly, if you're looking at a large-scale revamp of the tax filing portal, I mean, you're bound to face issues. I mean, let's acknowledge that, a change of this magnitude will definitely involve a lot of, taking care of edge cases, looking at the flows, looking at ensuring that there is a fine-tuning of user experience, and there are bound to be several issues and challenges along the way. And we've seen that the GST portal took even longer time, like we were looking at 2 to 3 years time frame for the portal to stabilize. But now, the situation really is that if there is an issue with the portal, it's not just the taxpayers who are facing problem. Even the government, will have to keep on pushing the deadline. And like we discussed that, there could be a situation where people may have tax due. So we could be looking at, a delay in revenue collection. So in that sense, the grievances could really skyrocket. And, like you said, perhaps it was the final straw because, they've been given several extensions and the government has been talking about that the portal will be live in weeks and months and, but there continue to be issues. And so, like we discussed, around the deadline, there is a huge rush to the portal, and the portal needs to be ready for that kind of traffic which might come to it during the last day.
Right. So, what about those who now intend to file their returns? Is it best to wait until September 15th or even after that to initiate the process now?
Yeah, I would strongly advise people to at least be ready with whatever information they require because that takes a lot of time. So be prepared with your information. It does seem like, the deadline, it seems difficult for things to be ready and available around that time. So we could be looking at potentially an extension. But, I understand that a lot of people also want to claim refunds. And when you want to claim a refund, you don't want to wait all that long. So a lot of taxpayers have been approaching us. We are working with the government on API so that people can come and file on our portal, and there's still work happening on that. APIs are not yet available. So my advice to you would be to make sure that you have all the documents ready, all the information ready, and as soon as the portal is available, then you can begin filing.
So you mentioned that taxpayers should keep all their documents ready. So could you elaborate on the documents that they should keep at hand before they start the process? Every year, of course, not necessarily because the website has been facing issues, but generally, what are the documents that they should have in place or the information that they should have in place before they start filing their tax returns?
Right. I think the most important piece of information if you're salaried is your Form 16. So make sure you have your Form 16 ready. Look at all the deductions that you want to claim. And if there were certain deductions you could not claim via your employer, then have the proofs ready so that you're able to report that in your tax return. Look at your bank account statements. If you have interest income from, say, your savings account or any other kind of income that is credited to your bank account, then make sure you include that. Then, the past year has been unique in the sense that a lot of people entered the stock market. So we had a large number of people who might have sold their stocks, who might have sold their mutual funds. So if you are one of those, then perhaps you have to include capital gains tax. You have to pay capital gains tax on your transactions. So ensure that you have the requisite information. How many units were sold and what price you sold them and what is the capital gains that you need to pay. So calculate those taxes, pay them right away, and prepare all the information that you will require to report these transactions in your tax return. So I think capital gains, then a lot of millennial taxpayers would have cryptocurrencies income because in cryptocurrencies the prices were skyrocketing and a lot of people exited. So potentially they could have gains that they may want to report, and this would be a good time to sit with a tax expert and understand what are the tax implications and prepare to file your tax returns right now.
And any key changes in the new income tax return forms for this year that you would like to highlight that taxpayers should be aware of?
Luckily, there are not any significant changes in the forms, except for changes which have been brought about to conform with the new law. So that you will see that there are clauses related to grandfathering of your costs in case of sale of equity shares, and a couple of disclosure norms here and there. But largely, the forms are the same as compared to what they were last year.
All right, PPO. Thanks a lot for joining us today. It was great having you on the show.
Sure. Thank you. My pleasure.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Simply Safe. For more news, views and updates, do stay logged on to moneycontrol.com.